Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. Today, we are going to go into our four-step SaaS content marketing strategy. You are going to learn how to meet sales pipeline goals in 3 months. So we're just going to dive right into this thing today. So what you're going to learn today, what we're going to cover is why SaaS companies have a challenge with consistent lead flow, why the solution lies in a multi-funnel content marketing framework, and how a four-step SaaS content marketing process can generate consistent lead flow for you. And keep in mind, this is proven, this is tried and true. We've done this for multiple clients of ours, and we'll show you who they are in a second. So before we begin, let's do some intros. That's me. I'm Daniel Lofaso. I'm the CEO and founder of Digital Elevator. We are an award-winning digital marketing agency, and we have a specialization in SaaS marketing. So you can see some of our awards there and see some of the clients, SaaS clients specifically, that we've worked with that have had great results. Lots of them have been acquired or had partnerships or raised funds, for example. And some of these are huge Fortune 500 companies. A lot of the other these are just small, run-of-the-mill software companies that have a great product and great teams, and we feel privileged that we've been able to work with them and help them scale with this exact process, some of these exact strategies that we're going to share today. So when we talk to marketers on SaaS teams or VPs of marketing, enter title, what have you, the problem that they express to us generally is consistent lead flow. And here's some of the pain points that we often hear. I don't know what channels to use to achieve leads consistently. And so everybody knows they have to do marketing, but they don't necessarily know which channels will provide the best return on investment, right? SEO, content marketing, pay-per-click, social, software, lead generation platforms. Everybody knows about all these options. However, we don't all have unlimited budgets to just try everything and then see what works. Some people have the luxury of doing that, others don't. We're going to kind of assume that you don't have this massive unlimited budget to do this. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this webinar, right? So I struggle to know how these marketing channels fit into our marketing roadmap. People want to plug things in, is what we're hearing, and they want to keep doing them consistently and not reinventing the wheel all the time. Come to the right place. I don't want to waste money on channels that don't work. The middle one here, of course, you don't want to waste money testing channels that don't work. It's very easy to spend $2, 3, 4, 5,000, $10,000 a month on channels that don't work. You want to avoid that. And how do you do that? You use things that other marketers like us, agencies that have worked with a lot of clients, have used to generate leads for other companies that are like you. And then I need to ensure marketing budget goes to lead generation for immediate and future sales. So there's always a different sales pipeline for each company, right? Some are very quick, 1, 2, 3 weeks. Some are 6-month sales pipelines because of the cost of the software might be substantially more than others. So that's why companies should be doing future sales and immediate sales, and we can help with that. And then this other one really leads to growing and scaling a company. I don't have enough warm leads to do accurate sales forecasting. You'd need, from what we're hearing, a sustainable lead generation pipeline the executive team can rely on. What we see is that executive teams are looking at marketing teams and saying, hey, we need you to forecast the sales pipeline. We need KPIs in place, and we need you to communicate with us what that looks like for the future so that we can raise funds or hire more people or estimate how many leads and sales we're going to get, et cetera, and so on and so forth. So that's becoming increasingly important to scaling a business for the certain goals that companies have. All right, so the solution here, and this is meant to be fairly simple. So this is not going to be one of these webinars where you're like, whoa, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard, this marketing platform. We're going to plug in a proven content marketing framework that nurtures leads. And again, we've used this for several clients. We're doing it now. You're in a nurture framework now if you've landed on this webinar. And just want to emphasize it's meant to be simple and kind of full circle. So here's kind of a quick and dirty overview of kind of what we're going to go over today. Again, this is kind of like the 30,000 foot view. This is not in the weeds. We'll go over this again at the end of the webinar after we go through all this stuff. So if you look at your left side here, and we have Facebook and Google leading into a blog. And then if we go down, again, we have retargeting from Facebook there to a webinar, and then retargeting again to the demo or trial. And along the way, they can do this organically, potentially without ads. We have in the middle an email sequence for people that opt in. And at the top there, we have a solutions page, your software page, your solutions page, which can also lead to demos or trials. So this is kind of what you can visualize that we're going to be talking about. There's organic paths and then there's paid paths, and that's what we're going to do with content marketing. We're going to kind of hit all of them. So here's our 4-step process that we've been building up to. Establishing a target audience, creating resources for that audience, setting up ads for that audience, and then optimizing what we've built. And then there's going to be a bonus tip at the end, so stay tuned for that. All right, so just as a reminder of the 3 stages of the sales funnel. Top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. So top of the funnel is really cold leads, right? We have how-to type content, very informational type stuff that we put in front of them. It's kind of that very much brand awareness stage. And I think companies dismiss greatly the brand awareness stage. A lot of software companies we talk to just want to go straight to get me demos or trials, or get me on the phone. If nobody knows who you are, you can't skip that stage. You have to build trust, and that's what you do with brand awareness, and we're going to touch that today. And then middle of the funnel. So we've warmed them up a little bit, and now they know who you are. We've moved them out of that cold to the middle, and now we're going to nurture them a little bit more with more assets, more education that give that brand trust that you're looking for. And then bottom of the funnel, of course, is when we're getting close to the sale, demos, the trials, the phone calls, that kind of thing. So that's just a little reminder. You probably already know that, but just a little reminder because it pays to create campaigns around all 3 stages right here. All right, so here's step 1. We're going to define our target audience or establish our target audience. So what we'll be doing is defining the buyer persona you'll be going after, and then determining the primary motivators of your buyer as they relate to your software. So you're probably saying, hey, I already have this done. Good, bonus. So a lot of people would have had this done. If not, just stay tuned. We'll get through it. So we're going to use an example to target for a target audience, and that will be Monday.com. Monday.com, you may know, you may have heard of it. It's a pretty popular project management software. So the buyer persona for Monday.com, as we would define it for this sales funnel, is project managers, okay? So other buyer personas that Monday.com might want to consider because their software addresses it are sales teams and HR departments and IT. For the sake of simplicity and just focusing on one channel, because you can't just spray and pray campaigns to every kind of buyer persona, right? We have to really pinpoint this kind buyer persona and go after them directly. We're just going to stick with project managers. Of course, you can duplicate these campaigns and the assets that you create around other buyer personas. So just keep that in mind. All right, so primary motivators of the persona as related to Monday.com software. So who are these people, right? They're looking to manage projects more effectively, right? They're looking to create ownership around project tasks, and they need a tool that helps them accomplish all their PM tasks and jobs. That's what the software helps solve. That's what these people are looking for. So with that in mind, we're going to move on. And again, hopefully you already have your buyer personas built out. What do they want? How does your software solve for that? So we're going to create resources around that for people, right? So solutions pages, bottom of the funnel, blog posts, top of the funnel, webinar and or case studies, middle of the funnel, and email nurtures, all stages of the funnel is what we're going to be talking about here and going into. So resource 104 is the solutions pages, which are very bottom of the funnel. So for example, software company Segment does a really great job of building out product pages here. So you can see the product section there, connections, protocols, personas, etc. And this is their bottom of the funnel content. This is their pages that have features and benefits of their software. So most of you probably already have these pages built out. Again, bonus, so you won't have to spend time doing this. These are the pages that really get people across the finish line, but it makes sense to have them in place first rather than the other things. So these greatly help with conversions. And as a bonus, these should be SEO optimized based on transactional intent. So, for example, if we're talking about the personas product for segment, maybe they're going after the keyword audience segmentation tool. So, we think that if you can also get people into your sales funnel from organic traffic from SEO, you should do so. So, if you can optimize your sales pages, your solutions pages, you should definitely do so. Although we will be talking about paid promotion, we're talking about content marketing here, which involves different angles. So Segment does a really good job of doing this, and that's just something that to make sure you have set up around your product. And like we said, you probably already have it done. So we're on to the races here. So the second thing you want to create is a blog post. And so let's take Monday again as the example here, the project management software. So they've created this blog post, very top of the funnel, your complete guide to project management in 2022. So this is kind of a very entry level blog post, right? This is people looking for how to type informational type information, and they've addressed that with the top of the funnel blog post. So it solves the problem, how to, do project management based on Monday's buyer persona research. So again, the blog post should also be steeped in keyword research. You should be competing, looking at competitive analysis, looking at what kind of content your competitors have created to solve this problem with their content. And although we're going to be promoting it via paid mediums, it's going to be bonus if you can bring people there for free, quote, through organic traffic. So we're not going to get into the content marketing process of creating great blog posts, although that is a service that we provide. It should be long form. It should be steeped in keyword research. Do a competitive analysis. It should be, aesthetically pleasing. You may have to do a ton of link building and other SEO stuff there. But as it stands, let's just get this blog created for example purposes. Okay, so the third resource we're going to create now that we're moving people down the funnel, right? So we have the blog, which is the top of the funnel. We have our solutions pages, which are bottom of the funnel. And now we have our middle of the funnel where we want to warm these people up even more. If that blog was the one that introduced them to your brand, perhaps, built trust, educated them quite a bit, and didn't ask for anything in return. It's just like, hey, here we are. We're Monday.com. Here's how you do this. Now maybe you clicked around the website and you know who we are. That's awesome. You're probably not going to close that day or sign up for a webinar that day, but maybe down the road you are. So that's why we want this webinar in place, this piece of content that further educates and further warms that lead. So Segment has done a good job here of keeping things consistent, right? So they've identified that segmentation type software product that they have, and now they're creating this webinar, how to build hyper-personalized experiences in real time. So that's continuing along that educational path, along that segmentation that they do so well, right? So what we're going to do is present this webinar to people. Of course, you have to build it, right? After they have some brand trust and familiarity from your previous blog resource. So the blog and the webinar should be related if we're going to go topically. So you want your blog to solve the problem, you want your webinar to solve a very similar problem, perhaps a slightly different educational angle. All right, so this just gives an additional learning related to initial resource as stated. You're going to have a face with the brand, and it's just more free content. And research indicates that people who opt into webinars are way more likely to trust brands. That's why we like webinars. It is not the only piece of middle of the funnel content that you can use. You could also perhaps do case studies, answer the question, how have companies like mine benefited from your software, and show that as case studies. We like the webinar angle, and then with the emails we get here, we like to maybe send them case studies and emails, which we're going to dive right into. So email nurtures, this is optional, but it is recommended, and this goes along all stages of the funnel. This can be top, middle, bottom of the funnel. And what it is, what we're going to do here, as you can see in the screenshot there, the webinar pushes them to email nurture and automatically triggers a sequence. So what these do, they build trust, they build awareness, help move leads down the sales funnel. We like to do a lot of education in our email nurture campaigns. We don't like to just, hey, do demo, demo, demo. We like to push them to a welcome series like, hey, here's who we are, here's why we're in business. Here's some awesome free information to help you along your path. Keep doing that, more free information, and then eventually get to more middle of the funnel stuff, case studies, why consider us, and then push them along the way. So this is just bonus, optional. Some brands don't touch nurtures. Other SaaS brands we work with build these out and create sequences like crazy. And so we actually like doing this quite a bit. All right, so now we're in step 3. So if step 1 was kind of the setup of things, step 3 is where we kind of move on to the promotion aspect, which is going to be done through ads. Of course, we have the organic aspect that we talked about, but now we have an ad aspect. So we're going to be doing ensuring that pixels are set up or tracking codes are on your site, set up top of the funnel ads, and set up 2 stages of retargeting ads. So this is what the paid ads setup looks like. So making sure the pixels tracking codes are in place. Again, this might be one of those things you already have in place on your website. You might have the Facebook tracking codes or Google, LinkedIn, etc., whatever platforms you've identified resonate the best with your demographic, or maybe you have all of them. If not, it's really easy to add these to your site from the platforms that you think are the best. So I won't get into which platform might be better for who or what. Personally, we like to use Facebook because it tends to be a little bit cheaper, but it's not to say that Google or LinkedIn have their place with targeting. And we're gonna get into optimization and experimentation a little bit later today, but it's just good to know. And again, you probably already have this done. And what it does, it also allows you to maybe benefit from that organic traffic that you already have on your blogs. So if you already have blogs in place that you're like, oh, hey, I can just use what we already have these assets in place, and then you have these tracking codes in place, you can do the retargeting very easily, which is this further steps right here. So, okay, so cold ads are going to be top of the funnel. So now we have our tracking code set up. We're going to run an ad. So for this example, we're going to continue with Facebook because again, that seems to be one of the cheaper advertising options. So we're going to use our blog as the resource, and then we're going to target our ads towards a very specific niche. And we want to go after people by interest or demographic, or even if maybe there's another software that has a ton of followers you can throw into Facebook and say, hey, like target people who like this software. So for example, if you're targeting marketing people, target people that have an interest in HubSpot, for example. So, and all you're asking for here is them to read a blog. You're not asking for anything else. So it's really easy entry. But again, these are just cold people, cold leads, and they're top of the funnel. So brand awareness is the name of the game here. So now we're going to do a layer of retargeting. So this is middle of the funnel. So we have that webinar, right? And now we want to retarget those people that have visited our blog, that very specific blog page, to invite them to register for our webinar. So they were cold initially, and now we want to warm them up. If they had interest in that blog, if they want to be further educated, they might have some interest in signing up for your webinar. And if they do that, then you have their email, and then they're a little bit more engaged, and hopefully they found your webinar entertaining or educational, and it built a little brand trust. And that's going to be a good thing for potentially getting to do the next thing, which is call you or contact you or demo. So we're not done yet, though. We want to retarget those people that either opted in, so you can retarget them via their email on Facebook potentially, or you can just retarget the people that landed on your video page. So you grab that URL and you retarget people like that as another layer. This time, we're going after that warm lead, right? So the call to action now is to book a demo or schedule a call or do a trial or follow a link to your Calendly link or whatnot. And now we've basically completed the 3 stages of the sales cycle because we're driving people to top, middle, and funnel. And now we're rocking and rolling. We got that sales pipeline filled up. We got that brand awareness always going, and we got educational resources, and then we got the hard asks at the end there. Book a demo, call me, And the beautiful thing of this campaign is, which we'll talk about again, is that people can jump around the sales funnel. Sometimes they'll go from cold immediately to a trial, or they'll just come to your site, look at resources because they like something, and register for a webinar, and then they're in. So it's not always so linear, which is a beautiful thing about marketing and sales, and why you have to, in our opinion, try to hit them at all three stages: cold, warm, and hot. So the final stage, of course, you're going to hear this from a marketing agency, is to optimize. So we're going to be testing resources, audiences, messaging, offers, etc. So by testing different offers, what we mean is that you're going to try to create or promote different blog resources that solve different problems. Maybe the initial blog that you created wasn't really the problem solver that you thought it might be. So maybe you're going to create something else, or maybe go after a different segment, different audience, different buyer persona with a different blog, right? And then, like we mentioned before, instead of a webinar as your middle of the funnel, use a case study. Case study is your middle of the funnel. It warms them up. They're familiar with your brand. To me, it's a little bit more aggressive than a webinar, but it doesn't hurt to test it. And then you can look at other middle of the funnel content options to retarget after that blog touch. Good examples are a software comparison blog, Monday versus Teamwork, for example, as a blog post. Those are really great middle of the funnel assets. White papers that talk about how to implement your products very specifically, how to talk about your products, not just a general white paper. And then industry research. People love industry research. It's very shareable, and it shows that you're authority in your field if you publish that kind of thing. The other thing, we're going to test ad variance. So if you are on Facebook, you maybe want to test against LinkedIn, Google Display, to see if your cost per acquisition can be brought down. So, like we said, Facebook is often one of the cheaper options for advertising. If you have an unlimited budget, maybe it makes sense to test across all these channels right from the get-go. But also keep in mind that just because a channel like Facebook might be cheaper, it might not mean that the leads that they generate are as good as other channels. So might be cheaper, but the lead quality might be cheaper as well, so to speak. You can test different images, videos, creatives, and offers to gauge click-through rate, and then test different audiences. You can do lookalike audiences, which are always great. You can test people by specific interests, by job type, etc., to see if it improves your lead quality. So if you have things that are working, always trying to just get a little bit better, drop that percentage of costs, or increase that percentage of conversions a little bit by little bit until you're really satisfied with what you got there. So before we go on to the map, the funnel, so to speak, the visual of the funnel, let's just give you the bonus here, and that is repurpose. So we're a content marketing agency. We repurpose all kinds of stuff and encourage our clients to do so. So if you created a webinar, you created these blog posts, now you have this great content. So if you did an hour-long video webinar, maybe you can chunk it out into 15-minute videos and throw those up on YouTube and optimize those. You can divide the webinar in 3 to 5 minute videos based on each little segment that you covered. Throw those on social. Q&A questions could be a nice post across your social media platforms. You can turn your slides into graphics across social, and then you could also have the audio transcribed podcast, turn it into a blog, or put it on your company's Medium page or something like that. So those are all just great ways to potentially create content for a month from your initial research and publications. So again, let's go through this a little bit slower than we did before, and starting on the left here. So we have this top of the funnel blog we created, and now we're going to be driving people through paid Facebook, or enter whatever paid medium that you prefer here, promotion, as well as benefiting from organic traffic, because we optimized that blog post to rank and we did our research there. So following the path that we just talked about, we're going to go down here and we're going to retarget that again and push them to a webinar. And after we get those webinar opt-ins, we're going to push those people to a demo trial meeting which is bottom, top of the funnel. This is middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. So along the way, you can see that people can move organically as well without your paid promotion. So it just doubles down, and maybe eventually you're just working really well with organic mediums rather than throwing so much money at paid resources like Facebook or LinkedIn. So they can also opt into your webinar if you have some kind of opt-in call to action on your blog post, and then they can make their way to the demo or trial there as well. Also, we talked about email marketing. So from the blog, they can get opted in into your email sequence. Maybe you're talking about something very specific. For example, we talk about SaaS marketing. We're going to ask people to subscribe to our SaaS marketing blog, and now they're opted in there. Same thing for the webinar. We got their email, they opted into the webinar, and now they're in that email sequence. And we have a nice sequence that pushes them along, educates, nurtures, eventually asks for demo trial, our final call to action. And of course, we have those solution pages. So we have people who are going from the blog directly to the solutions page to read about your features and benefits. And then those can be pushed into email sequences or directly to your trials or demos or meetings or whatnot. So this is a kind of a 30,000 foot view, simplified. Obviously, each one of these pieces takes a little time and effort and expertise, but it's fairly simple, right? Blog, webinar, demo, and it's going to fill your pipeline. It takes about 3 months typically to get people through that pipeline to start having conversations in most of the scenarios that we've had experience with. The setup can vary depending on how many existing assets you have, but it is a nice way to ensure that you're hitting people, getting the brand awareness, getting the lead gen, having conversations, and then booking meetings that bring people closer to pulling the trigger on a purchase. So that concludes the webinar for today. Hopefully you learned something and you can take away and try some of this stuff on your own in your marketing campaigns. If you have any SaaS marketing questions, I'd love to talk to you, answer them. You can just email me and let me know that you watched this webinar and ask your specific question, or you can check out our website there. And happy marketing to you. Please reach out to us if you need any help with your SaaS marketing. Of course, we do turnkey and consulting type work for SaaS companies. So if you need that kind of help and maybe you want these kind of results, get acquired or raise funds, then we definitely should be a candidate. So thanks again and have a great day.